Hello there, it's Susan at Seaside Stitches, and I'm so happy that you've popped by. So thank you very much for pressing that button and playing my video. I really appreciate it. I'm trying this on Alan's phone because mine is full, the storage is full, and although it's exactly the same as mine, it doesn't really know how I work. So I'm just going to make sure that it is behaving itself. Okay, thank you. It's some time since I've been on here. I apologise. Well, I can't apologise for being on holiday, but I apologise for not getting back to you sooner. And although I set some videos so that they could be played while I was away, I just haven't had my sojo back. It's been very strange. And what's also been strange is I've been a bit organised and tidying up my house and washing up and playing fair a bit more rather than leaving it all to Alan and just, oh, I'm very busy sewing. So I am going to catch you up now. I can't remember what day it is, but this is intended to be a Friday Sews, and it must be the first Friday in August that you'll be seeing this, and the second Friday in August. I know that I will be 70 by then, not quite 70 yet, but I will be very shortly. So this is probably my last video at being 69 years old. I don't know why that's important. I'm going to do a quick live catch up just first, and then I will be quick on that. But I've had a lovely afternoon. To be quite honest, just between me and you, that I didn't get dressed till about 2:15, and I was just absorbed in doing some decluttering and sorting in our bedroom. And just a little aside, we have considered whether or not we will be staying in this property, particularly given the cost of living crisis. I'm not going into that, but there are possibly, but more than probably, changes ahead for us in terms of moving house. So that won't be right away at all. But since we've been thinking about that, we have been looking at what a lot of stuff we have. And given that we've been together 50 years and we each brought little bits of our own stuff from before that, we still have quite a lot. Even though we've moved 9 times, we have had declutters along the way, but we have still got quite a few things. So what I was doing was going through my jewellery. Now, I don't have masses of wonderful jewellery as in 22 carat gold or so many carat diamonds or that kind of jewellery. I have a lot of, probably some dating back even to the 70s kind of fashion jewellery, and I have what I've been doing today is kind of exploring the jewellery. I didn't inherit this jewellery from my mum. My mum didn't have much in the way of that kind of jewellery either, but she was an avid shopper, was my mum. She had a few difficulties with shopping, like she couldn't not do it. And the bulk of what she had, anything of value that she wasn't attached to, was sold once my dad passed away. That's in 2011, just to give her a good start, to be able to look after herself from some of the money that earned. And what she left in otherwise to that is mostly at my sister's, in a box in the loft or something like that. But there was some that was in a little tub that had been my grandma's, well, our grandma's, and most of it was my mum's, but really kind of decorative stuff. At one point, perhaps next time I do it, I might just show you some of the things. I'm wondering whether to put together a little collage. My mum had put one together from my grandma. My grandma was an avid sewer. My grandma in St Anne's, very much dyed red hair. Not really a ginger nut like I was, but I am kind of still going back to that. She was definitely Harmony hair colour. What was it called? Chestnut Harmony hair cream. Yes, anyway. I take after my grandma a lot, and she was very flamboyant in her choices of fabric and colours, and she always loved to do a zigzag stitch. She had one of the very early twin needle machines, a treadle Singer twin needle, and I do that because that's what you do. And she was just so, I don't know, dynamic about sewing. And for mine and Alan's wedding, she made a coat for herself in a really thick kind of tapestry. Sounds awful probably, but an embossed tapestry fabric, really big fabric, just a the kind of mandarin collar, and it just was awesome. Anyway, there was some fabric that she kept, and my mum put that in a frame and put some of her odd bits of jewellery and sewing and brooches and just bits and pieces that say Florrie Hoyle, which is who she was. So anyway, I'm not doing that with my mum's stuff, but I've been looking at the stuff that came in one of these little tubs, little wooden box that had been my grandma's, and I'd had this particular one in my... I don't have like fancy jewellery boxes either. I've just got some little drawer units, cardboard drawer units that I've got all sorts of bits and pieces in, but I was having a look through, and one thing just threw me up. It just blew me away, not threw me away. My mum and I didn't have a marvellous relationship as I was growing up. I believe she had postnatal depression, but that wasn't a thing that was known about in the 50s. But once my sister came along 5 years after I was born, there were some issues. That's all I'm saying. She wasn't violent towards me or anything like that. It was just there were some issues within our relationships that I've gone over time and time again, and that have been a thread through my life in any case. But it was really surprising. She had a tiny little locket, really old-fashioned tiny little locket, and you kind of hold your breath when you're opening one of those because you don't know what memories it will evoke of your parents or whoever she's got in that locket. And I was just blown away because one of them was a picture of me in a Whitwalk's dress, or almost like a bridesmaid's dress with a bouquet and everything, and I was only 3 or 4 in that. And it's teeny tiny, and that was one side. It's so tiny, but it was me, and the other one was a picture of my dad's face, and it was just, whew, that was so unexpected. I mean, me and my mum got all sorted out years and years ago in terms of our relationship, but her difficulties with me were her difficulties, not really my difficulties, but they became my difficulties as I got older and a teenager, and yes, lots of clashing. But anyway, that's just a bigger side. But it's been quite a moving morning, afternoon, and it just got me back into, okay, come and make a video, share your fabric, and share what you've been up to. So I'm here now. I am going to just check this camera just in case it isn't behaving. Okay, well, it seems to be working, and I seem to be somewhere in the picture. Just quickly before I go on any further, behind me is this yellow dress that I made, I don't know, nearly 2 years ago, and I didn't get the hem finished. I put a frill on the bottom, and I really love the movement of it. I have shown it to people before on this channel, and it was almost a maxi, and I just found I wasn't wearing it because it is more autumn-like, and it's great with the length of it, and even with my boots on it's great, but I've no coat to wear with it, so it just feels it's not quite living in the world that I need it to be living in, and it fits me really superbly, and I really like it, and I want to be wearing it. So I've taken the frill off, and it's just ready now for me to return up and just have it as a normal length dress. So that's what that is. And this, I don't know if you can see it or not, but I'll bring it down afterwards and I'll put a picture in. It's my Davenport dress from £62 worth of fabric. I went on and on about it when I'd made it because I never liked it. I like the fabric, I like the idea of the pattern, I like the way the pattern went together on me. I just feel really frumpy. So I've finally undone the bottom part of it, and I'm working on what I can do with it next. So even putting it on like that, which is just like a very, very crop top, it feels so much more free and so much more me. I can't wear it like that because it's far too short, but I'm working on what I could do next with it. So that is a positive there. And on this side, I don't know if she's in the picture, but this is my second Take the Chance dress from Pattern Emporium. It's only the bodice yet, but I started this about a month ago before we went on holiday. Now, when we went on holiday, we were going for 1 week and 1 week only. We were going to Cornwall, and we went in a chalet. Just a little wooden hut, really. No, it was a chalet in a kind of little complex of chalets on a static caravan park in Hale, near St Ives. It's called St Ives Holiday Bay, but it's not actually in St Ives. But when you go down, if you go up to the end of the holiday park, there is a set of steps that take you directly onto the beach, and you've got, as they say, 3 miles of golden sands, which is what Hale is really. And across the bay is actually St Ives, so it's not that far to get round to it by road. Anyway, we've been there many times to Cornwall. Never stayed. We have stayed on that site when now David was about 8, and he is now 42 or almost 42. Anyway, so it was lovely to go, and we just found that we were really tired. We didn't know how much we needed that break. I don't know if you ever get like that. You don't really think it's that desperate that you have a break. But while we were there, we were kind of, oh, this is just so good. We don't even know what we're having a break from, but it's just not very little internet, just what we had on our phones, and we don't have massive data on our phones anyway, so that was it. But we found that just travelling to one place one day, and then, the first day we went into St Ives in the morning, and in the afternoon we were in Penzance, which is only across the width of, I could call it Scotland, Cornwall. It's not very deep, Cornwall. Anyway, it's not unusual for us to do that. But on each day, no, not every day, I took a photo, or Alan took a photo of me most days in what I'd taken to wear. Now, that wasn't a me-made wardrobe that I made specially for the holiday. On the video before that, I did share all the things I'd considered taking, put them up on my staircase rail or on the chair, just to consider what might be the best things to take with me. And I did choose several of those. I discounted a lot of them, and I thought I was doing really well in selecting only the few that I did, given that we were only going for 7 days, 8 nights. And yeah, so what happened was we found that we could get discount if we stayed for another week and upgraded to a caravan with a sea view. So we decided that we deserved to do that, and we did do that. And when we picked up the confirmation on the day that we moved from one to the other, when we picked up that confirmation, there was a post-it note on it. Sorry for a post-it note on it that said we could stay for a discount of so much per night if we wanted an extra day. And I thought, I wonder if they mean an extra day, or if you could mean extra day or days, it said. So I didn't take that to mean if you want an extra week. But after kind of a few hours in there, and we'd settled in there, and it was kind of like, this is really good. It wasn't a high spec caravan by any means, but it wasn't low spec either. It was just very supportive. We just felt, we didn't have neighbours kind of, it's quite thoughtfully placed where they have the statics, so they're slightly at an angle, so you're never looking straight into someone else's window, and they weren't all full, so we had some space each side and space in front. It was lovely, and we could see in the distance just a little sea view with a little island, and it was just so relaxing. I think that's the thing. And then that meant we could just have a day in if we wanted to, and just chill and read, or go out for a little while and come back and have a bigger trip the day after. So it just worked out beautifully. I didn't take any sewing. I did have in mind that I may go to Truro Fabrics. Yes, so I did have in mind that we would go to Truro Fabrics, but as the days were going, we were thinking we probably won't go. And then with us booking this extra time, it was like, this is a possibility. But partway through the second week, I developed quite a nasty cold, and I thought we were going to go by bus and have an adventure of looking at the scenery and everything, but I didn't want to spread my germs going on a bus, even wearing a mask. It didn't feel the right thing to do. And so as the time went on, there was the opportunity, funnily enough, to go to Truro and to find Truro Fabrics. Now, I had been to Truro Fabrics about 10, 11 years ago, and I had bought some fabric, which I will just show you if I can reach it. So 10 years or so ago I got this fabric from Truro Fabrics, and it is cotton and it has a little bit of stretch in it. Now, only a week or so before we went on holiday, I spotted that kind of about a 6-year-old video from Just Sew Over It. Just Sew Over It? Did they used to be called that? Anyway, Sew Over It London. There are some bolts of fabric, and this is one of them. So this was obviously quite popular at that time, but I knew nothing about it because I wasn't sewing much at that time. But we'd found Truro Fabrics while we were staying down there with my cousin and his wife in Newquay, near Newquay, that we'd done 2 or 3 years on a trot. They said, oh, you can come back next year, and we kept doing it. Anyway, so I'd bought this, but I'd only got 1.5 meters. And this has followed me from my other house to this house, and it's been in different cupboards and different boxes, and I've just not known what to make with it because it's quite heavy. It feels really well structured, and I love that there's a bit of stretch in it, but there's only 1.5 meters. Anyway, why I'm telling you this is I knew where Truro Fabrics was, except that there's been a big development in that time, and Truro Fabrics was not where I expected it to be. So trying to get my map up, and I'm not massively wonderful about phones, as you're aware. And anyway, I asked someone coming out of there's a market hall, and there was a woman just coming out having a look around and seeing what was going on, obviously worked in there, and I just asked her. So she said, oh, it's no longer in this square, but it's quite a way off. So she gave me these directions, quite meandering directions, and I thought, well, I didn't think it was that far out of town. So then when I realised it wasn't that far away really, it was within the city centre. So we followed this little journey that she'd specified, and I found it, but it looked quite small and mostly upholstery on the side we walked into. And then I spotted it, and it was lovely. I didn't take any photos, but anyway, it's just a dream of a shop, and the staff were lovely. I did wear a mask actually because I just got to the stage where I wasn't feeling poorly, but it was just, you never knew if you're just going to sneeze, and you don't want to start saying, I wonder if I could have a yard and a sneeze. You don't want to do that, do you? So anyway, so I'll just share what I did allow myself to buy. And Alan was a bit like, I said, well, I fancy that, it's really bright and cheery. And he didn't quite get it, particularly for a dress. But I don't know what I'm going to make with it, but it's lovely. Stretch cotton jersey. Well, stretch cotton jersey is stretch, isn't it? But it's really, I love the colours of it. It's so bright, it's so cheerful, it's so Susan. It doesn't matter if I'm going to do any drawing with it or not. But I have some ideas of what I want to do with it. But I only got 1.5 meters, and it's quite wide though. And my plans keep changing. So when I'm set with what I'm doing, then I'll know what I'm doing. But I wanted to share that with you. Now, when we were going, I had a choice of putting together a couple of videos for when we got back, for while we were away. I don't like to do a video saying I'm away. It's a bit strange advertising that you're not going to be in your own house, and when people have an idea where you live, it's a bit, you know, but it takes the worry out of it if people are not told across the universe that you're actually away. So the time that I had on the 2 days before, putting the video together and setting it up, scheduling it for while we were away, that was the one of choosing what I'm going to take. And I hadn't meant to do that because I thought I was going to take this one with me because it wasn't far off finishing, and all it needs are 2 buttonholes and 2 buttons. You can put 3 if you want, you can have 4, you can do what you want. And I had these more or less made, which are the front and the back but I hadn't quite finished the third. I attached the third tier, and when I got back, we had a bit of a rest, and I had a client the day after, 2 clients the day after anyway, the day after we got back. So it was all a bit rush, and because it's a long way, it's 9 hours on the map. It tells you it's going to be 9 hours, sometimes it's longer, but it's 9 hours from here down to Cornwall, which is nothing, is it, for a lot of you, especially if you live in the US, but for driving, for us, that's quite a way. And it's the time consuming and the tiredness, and we called at my sister's on the way back because she's kind of Warrington way, and that was lovely. So we had a quick catch up with them and a brew, and then we came back. But we decided, because I counsel in the hallway, it's a room, but it's a walk-through room. It would be where we would have unloaded our stuff from the holiday and then gone through it and sorted it out. And because it was kind of after tea and everything, we decided we set up just an overnight bag for when we got back, which is ridiculous because all your stuff's here really, isn't it? But anyway, so that we wouldn't need everything else out of the car. And so we left that in the garage, and then the morning after we could just get ready and do what we were doing. And so I would be ready and the room would be tidy to see my clients. Then I didn't have to be rushing about and messing about. So all this is a digression, just because I wanted to say it took me a little while to get back to doing this. And when I really examined it, the third tier that I was putting on wasn't quite right. And then looking at the other tier, I realised I could get a better gather effect. So I ended up taking the bottom tiers off and I won't use the elastic method again. There's nothing wrong with it, but I don't like to leave the elastic in. And I found it too cumbersome this time to mess about with. So apart from, as you can see at the top, the elastic is in. But once I have got that fit on there, I will tack this in, baste it, and then remove that. Or I will sew it below that and then remove that. Whatever. As long as I do it at an even depth on that side. But I was having trouble in stretching the elastic in, what do you call it? I can't describe what I mean, but anyway, it didn't matter. It needed a lot of pulling back, sorting out, and I had I'm much happier with I'm much happier now with the kind of, if you like, intensity of the frill, because that's only half of the lower tier. I'm much happy with that. So I'm glad I took my time with it, but then I couldn't seem to get started again. And it's always a bit of a worry. I don't know if it's a worry for you, but sometimes it can be a worry. Well, will they ever sew again? You lose your sojo just a bit, and it's, oh, will I ever sew again? I've got all this fabric. What will I do? I've just bought this and I've just bought that, and I've got these cut out. But it wasn't like that in, I don't know, I wasn't unhappy about getting back to it. I went out and bought myself, oh, that's what had held me up with this. I went out and got some buttons, and I was really pleased with the kind of shade of red that I got. You can't probably see it on there, but it doesn't matter. I was really pleased with them. I had a chat at the fabric shop in Fleetwood, and so anyway, what I'd like to do is show you the other piece of fabric that I got. If you're still with me, thank you very much for staying. And the other piece of fabric that I got, lo and behold, was 1.5 meters of this. And so 10 years apart, I have 3 meters now of this, and I'm not quite sure what I'm making of it. And even what I'm aiming to do is make whatever I'm making mostly out of one piece, and adding a frill or something that combines both things. Don't know if that means. Say I made a dress out of this part, most of it, and then used a frill from the other part, so that if there is any difference in batch colours and whatever, you won't have one side one colour and one side a different shade. So that's my idea. But I think it deserves a thorough thinking about. But it's definitely me. And if you know me and you've been following me, I think you will agree this is definitely me. So I'm just trying to find the right pattern that doesn't cut it all up, and also that means I don't have to do a lot of pattern matching. So I'm just really pleased with myself. So I've washed it and I've dried it, and I've got them mixed up now, haven't I? Anyway, never mind. So the other thing I've been doing is pottering, like I said. I've been doing quite a lot of decluttering and sorting out downstairs. We both have. And rearranging drawers in the bedroom, and nothing to do with sewing, but just kind of organising ourselves a bit. I think sometimes you've got to go away to find the simplicity of living small. I don't want to live small as being in that caravan, but living small, that makes you realise, you know what, I've got a lot of clutter about. Do I need that amount of clutter? And this room has now got to the point where it definitely needs another of those week 5 in my sewing room kind of thing, because there's stuff everywhere. Because the other thing so I didn't get to do this and finish it for my holiday, but I really didn't mind, and everything that I took was useful, and I wasn't short of any clothes. And I'm so pleased with myself, because the stuff that I took for 1 week, that kind of I don't know what the word is, justifies the fact that you never know, so you always need to take a little bit more than you would need. But I never thought I'd be staying another 2 weeks. And the other thing I did, I shall just whisper, but I decided that in some of the clothes I was looking a little bit with a, what do you call it, panty line, can't think what you, visible, anyway, muffin tops, not quite, but, and I thought, well, I need to get some more briefs. I need some more briefs from Marks and Spencer, some more high leg briefs. And I treated myself and got the bigger size. So I feel so, that sounds weird, doesn't it? But never mind. Yes, oh, they have been comfy. So when I've come back and assessed what needs doing before I throw myself into the next project, I'm going to gently finish this at the speed I want to finish it. I'm a bit concerned because I've only got enough fabric for very short sleeves, and I don't really like that idea. So I'm working on something. I don't know what it is yet. But I've just been on, I haven't watched much YouTube either, even since I come back, but I was watching Liz, the baker who sews. I do not know where she gets her energy from and her commitment, but she is awesome. And it's through her that I got this fabric. I watched this fabric, just in case you can't see that. This fabric she held up, and I think she made a marnie out of it, a second or a third marnie. And I put in her comments that I love that beautifully bonkers fabric that you've chosen, hoping that she wasn't offended by that. But even when I bought it, I referenced Liz, the baker who sews, and said it was, I can't wait to get some of your beautifully bonkers fabric. It's fleur, I never know how to say it, fleur d'or. It's a fleur and then D''OR, I think. And yeah, so it's just, I love it. It's just, it's so drab in it really on me. Drab, yeah, pale, drab. It's gorgeous. So then this one that I was wondering about putting a skirt on. I know what I'm doing with this now, but I need to just work out where I want the sleeves to end and hem those cuffs, and that's that job. I'm not going into doing the skirt at this point. I'm finishing this beautifully bonkers one. I'm going to hem this one, and I've got my Vera top that I don't know why I added so much, but I seem to have added 4 inches to the length before the cuff goes on, and they were really big and flopping over. So I have got the cuffs ready, and I just want to whiz round and sew them on. So they are jobs I will be doing, but what I did do is I got out just some scraps and some fat quarters, just to get me back into the swing of relaxed sewing or not sewing, or just perusing the things that I've got. So I'd already done some fat quarters into 2-inch strips, some Spider-Man Spider-Man 2-inch strips, and I'd kept them in there at the back of something else, and just to pick up at some point if I just wanted to do some strip sets or something. And I did find that day this is the day I want to pick those up and make some strip sets. So I've done that, and I've pressed them, and they look really bright and cheery just over the back of my chairs downstairs. And that was just a mind-numbingly ordinary sew. And I also got those hearts out that I was putting together, scissors organizer or a scissors case that you can make, and I usually have it hung up there with all these little red scissors that are non-fabric cutting out scissors, so I can use them for virtually anything I want, but I have them just over there on those doorknobs in this little heart thing. But because we've been away, I took that with me, and I use it as an organizer for my car door. So I think that's me for now, and I really appreciate you. I'm very sorry that I haven't been able to keep up the momentum on my videos, but I've kept trying to have the the momentum really to come up, and I had them 3 great big red spots again on my nose. And that doesn't help. It's not a beauty contest, is it? I mean, 69 bloody years old. Oh, I swore. Never mind. So thank you for having me. Yes, so I got all my bag of scrips and scraps out, and yeah, so I had a look through those and just put a few things together, and I just love that kind of freedom of just doing that, and it means nothing really, or you can use it for something. So the other thing I did, I have some boxes of fat quarters up there, or I did have, and I took them down last night, and I started matching them to each other. So I've got a few sets of 3 so that I can do some caddies again, you know, like my ByAnnie catch-all caddie. Oh, he's just hiding, and little Ted in there, just so that I can make a few of those for over the summer, because they would be welcome to some people over the summer. So that's what I'm going to do. It's good. I'll just show you, he's hiding in there, look. There's 3 pockets on the back and 2 on the front, 2 massive ones on the front, and then there's the zip pocket. It's all finished inside because it's all lined with you make a quilt sandwich, you make several quilt sandwiches, and then there's just a slip pocket there, and then yeah, it's fab. I love it. So I've got a couple more that I want to be making, but then I thought I'll look for ideas for making others, and I've got the other. This is the large one, the catch-all caddie, and then there is the In Control, it's called, just a smaller one, slightly smaller. And I'm inspired to get back to them because of Adam Sews. He's made some beautiful ones. I don't know if you've been on his website, but he's got some beautiful ones, and some more of them in his Etsy shop. So I'll just pop Ted there. There you are. Sending you some love, he is. He's sending you some love. But we'll just hide him for a minute. Beep. Okay, so thank you, and if you'd like to subscribe, I'd be very grateful. It means that more people get to see my videos. But I cannot thank you enough for your comments, your views, and your subscriptions if you've decided to subscribe, because it just feels awesome. I've got over 800 subscribers. Where did that happen? How did that happen? I just started trying to put a video together in, I don't know, 2020. I've done about 85 videos, and now I've got 800 subscribers. I can't believe it. So thank you, each and every one of you who watch. It doesn't matter whether you subscribe to me or not. It's not conditional. You can only be on here if you're subscribed. I welcome you, subscribed or not, but it's just an extra bonus for me to see more people are liking or making comments. So thank you. So I don't know even if I introduce myself. I'm Susan at Seaside Stitches. And if this is a Friday Sews, I don't know which number it is, but I'd like to thank Jen at Today in Jen's Sewing Room, who put together this hashtag, because it means so many people who are sewing or interested in sewing can video under that hashtag, or can be found under that hashtag if you're looking for someone to watch. So thank you, Jen, and thank you everyone else, and bye for now. Susan at Seaside Stitches.